Hey folks, random Richie. It's it's been a bit. It's it's been a ride. Um, Life's interesting. Life is weird. Um, been dealing with a lot of pain issues this weekend from a lot of things, and something I failed to remember that I am coming here to blather to the internet to remind folks, just in case they're in the same circumstance, they might have a chance to remember, like I was unable to this weekend. You need to temper your temper, especially when you are in a prolonged pain event, to make sure that you don't negatively impact people around you, people you love, people you care about. Um, the rest of my life is going to be a pain event. I'm never going to be pain free ever again. Um, Something I basically understood in my 30s. Um, Things that happened with my body to my body that it's never going to be pain free ever again. It's managing the pain that I have and trying to manage myself so that I am in control, not my pain. Um, Extreme frustrations mixed with the pain event caused me to say things yesterday to someone that they didn't deserve. Well, they didn't deserve, with the vitriol that was pushed behind it. The words they deserved, they just deserved the words to be transmitted in a better way, in a non-hurtful way. Um, so, to my middle child, Brittany, I'm sorry for the way that I delivered that. I should have done it better. I love you, kiddo, but we need to have a conversation when you finally get back home. Um, she was not kicked out or anything like that. She left with her significant other to go spend time with them for a couple of days for everything to cool off. I think she's supposed to be back Monday or Tuesday. But that being said, it's my child does deserve an apology. They will get a more personalized one face to face when they return home. But now here's one out on the internet for everyone to see. Um, Me recognizing my bad behavior and wanting to. But we can't correct the thing that happened in the past. All we can do is mitigate the harm that it has done, but um, try to use it as a learning device and make sure that shit like that doesn't happen again. You deserve better. Your mom deserves better. Your sister, well, sibling deserves better. Your brother deserves better. Your niece and nephew deserve better. Your cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents, the rest of my friends and things of that nature, they all deserve better, kiddo. I'm sorry. Um, I don't think me being in a pain event is an excuse for that behavior. It is an explanation for that behavior, but it's not an excuse. It's something that I need to work towards. I do need to talk to a mental health professional about a number of things going on in my life. Um, and see what we can do to make it so that sometimes I'm not such an insufferable asshole to all those around me. Um, was reading something that I wrote 11 years ago, before my mother passed away. And I think it definitely holds true. It's for my friends. You'll see it on Facebook. I shared it on Facebook. Um, but there's a lot of people in my life that no matter how badly I fuck up, how badly I fall, they'll be reaching out to try to, if nothing else, at least decrease the velocity of said fall. Um, every one of you, I love you. Thank you. And just as there are others out there in this world that I love to the point that should I see them have the same thing happening and that they're in some type of descent or fall, I will do my best to reach out and help them. Think about reaching out. Works both ways. You need to reach out when you need help. Because sometimes people don't know. Sometimes people aren't the best with social cues and don't understand when you need help. And sometimes people aren't the best with social cues and they don't know how to ask for help. Um, I very often am that kind of person. I don't often realize what's going on with others or have the presence of mind to reach out for help when I know I'm spiraling. And I believe this is another reason why I need to seek help from a mental health professional. Um, I'm present enough of mind to realize I've got issues. No. Okay. Issues is too light of a term. I have subscriptions. I've got complete volumes. Um, and I need to find someone to help me through it. And um, many times throughout the years, before Crow was born, and Crow will be 17 just after Christmas. I kept starting the idea for wanting to make a blog, remaking a man, trying to become the man my family deserves and the man that I really want to be. And that is something that really needs to be done. I really need to put that on my plate, and I really need to go ahead and work on that and fix that and such. It's um oh, hey Bladed. Um but yeah, so it's you'll probably be seeing some of these, you'll probably see a new series of titles of things coming to my channel of remaking a man, to truly try to become what I think Misty and my kids and my surviving family deserves out of me. But at the same time, I've also got to be my own person in the same thing. So finding the blend of the two, um, that is really where the meat of things will need to be. Um, Dealing with issues with as far as the neuropathy and pain and insomnia and everything else, and couldn't sleep, and figured this would be a more productive than going into just a time wasting game. And my brain is too choked with things of this nature to try to write. So I figured, screw it. It's been a while, way too long since I've done a random Richie, and figured I'd hop on. So my pain event is a little more than normal. It's more than just my normal back and leg pains. Um, I've also got a lot of pain going on right in here. Just before my birthday, I ended up with a large mass. It almost looked like a racquetball or a decent sized orange under the skin right here, literally right here. Um, Turns out that it was a really bad infection. Um, Went to the urgent care. Urgent care sent me to ENT, ears, nose, throat. Um, so a lot of antibiotics were prescribed. Didn't go down enough. The ENT was afraid there might be cancer in there. Sent me for a biopsy. Um, when they went in for the biopsy, um, the doctor there was not overly happy. And the reason why he wasn't overly happy was there wasn't really anything for him to do too much biopsy on. Most of it was this nasty sludge. So they took some of that off, sent that off to cytology. Turns out it was a really bad infection. I was on broad spectrum antibiotics for um, a month, and it brought it down to something that was maybe, see, do I have anything around here that um it was maybe about the size of my wedding ring as far as diameter, but it was also kind of more stretched. So it was more like that. Kind of a deal, like, you know, like there was an oval of clay that they just pinched to points. Um and then it was maybe the height of a Hershey's Kiss at the end. Um, so they ended up doing surgery on it the 18th. Just got my stitches and the drain out the other day. The drain was weird. It was a large bulb on a tube that was shoved up into my neck, right there. And basically it's a little bigger than a tennis ball. Had to keep that compressed, um, and so that there was suction and a vacuum in there, and it just drained all that gunk out. It got to the point where um, everything was good to go. They actually did the surgery was them cutting out that uh, parotid gland, P parotid gland. It's a salivary gland. Luckily, I've got more. So no big deal. That some pressure on the facial nerve, so it'll be a while before this ear and like this portion of my face right here is going to have that feeling back. It's going to take time, but at least it's not as bad as when I had Bell's palsy. So, but yeah, so they cut that out, and it was just still really infected, and they were really surprised at the fact that how much antibiotics were thrown at this thing, and there was still enough in there for them to basically, basically the infection was looking at them saying, "Fuck you, come take me, coppers." So that's out. Um, I don't have to see him again for 3 months unless something happens, but right now it still feels like I've been punched in the face right here. So, right here, not so bad. That's where the facial nerves had the pressure, and that's still numb. That doesn't hurt. I can barely feel that. I feel it more on my fingertips than I do on the actual skin there. Um, but right here, just outside that range, it's just feels like I did something stupid and said something nasty about Mike Tyson's ma in front of him. You know, um, Actually, I take that back. It's if I said something like that, nasty about his mom in front of him, it would probably hurt 50 million times worse because I bet that man still punches like a freaking beast. Um, my hat's off to you, Mr. Tyson. Like you'll ever see this, but my hat's off to you, sir. I wish I had 1/100th of a % of the dedication that you do to your body um to keep as fit as you are. I've never been a fitness guy. Uh as the memes say, I was more of the fitness pizza in my mouth kind of a guy. Um yeah, so again, yeah, rambling Richie, just talking about weird random shit because that's what I do best. Um how much time have I spent doing this? 18 minutes. Um what else is going on through my head right now? If health is the number one worry on my mind, and I'm trying to think of something better to talk about than all that. So, it's a unique world. I need to talk to one of my friends about ideas for the cover of my book. I've got 6 short stories that I'm packing together, that I am going to put out in print here in the near future. Um, Apelian webzine. The July issue, I'm supposed to have a short story in there. Um, the June issue, bladed thesis, the individual whose comment I put up there, and his lovely spouse, Foxy, um, have stories. Each of them will have their own stories. I believe Joe Bachman had one either, I think, April or May. He had one in there. Um, yeah, it's a cool site. A lot of good authors, a lot of good stories. One thing that I have used for a number of years is they have a writer's hook. So they had a writer's challenge. And then he had 42 hooks in there. He's like, grab one, write a story on it, send it on into me. Um, him being Dan Hollifield, uh, great honorable gentleman, great friend. It's an honor to know him and talk with him and stuff. Um, oh, what no, 22, the summer of 22, he challenged me to go ahead and finally use one of those hooks, write a story, and submit, which is actually what I did. So, but I'd used those hooks for a number of years to go ahead and use for prompts to go ahead and get my mind working to at least get a few words out on something. Yeah, they were all things that it's like these are never going to see the light of day. This is just stuff that I want to go ahead and toss on out there. Um, Joe's story was in March. Thanks, thesis. Um, yeah, so it's the title of my story, I believe, is Raven's Kiss, and it is inspired by the hook. Um, Hell opened up and spat out a hero. Although I tweaked it a little bit instead of it being a hero, a heroine. Um, but it was a fun write. Um, Dipping into some Norse mythology um, type of stuff, bringing in kind of a spell punk, steampunk aesthetic in part of the story. Um, but it was a fun write, and there might actually be more dealing with characters from that short coming on down the pipe, either in stuff that I release myself or maybe more stuff that I submit to Dan. So, but um, but yeah, so Dan challenged me, so I went ahead and finally got off my ass and finally completed his challenge, and yeah, it's going to be in the July issue of Apelian. So I believe it comes out on the first Sunday of the month. Um, but a lot of fun stuff in there, a lot of good stuff. If you're looking for some sci-fi fantasy um, type stories, it's a great place to go check out. That is Apelian Webzine. Do I have that as a banner? Um, no, I do not have that as a banner, but you know what? I know who does. Um, let's change brands real quick. And I believe it's usually in here. Banners. Um, oh no. The banners don't come over. Hellfire. Um, so you know what? I'll have to make a brand new banner. Huh. Take that, world. Um, Banner, create banner. And there we go. So Apelian Webzine, that's the URL right there. I know that's definitely the right URL because I put it into Chrome before bringing it over here just to make sure I am pointing to the exact right place, because dyslexia is a thing. It sucks really bad when you are trying to tell people what website to go to. So I always test the links before I send them. Um, pop back over to comments. I see Thesis put some more stuff out there. It's kind of what happened with my second story. It wasn't exactly a challenge from Dan, but I was on LMS. LMS stands for Last Man Standing. Um, a night, or not a night, a show that Dan does twice a week, Thursdays and Saturdays. Um, Thursdays is um, 10 p.m. to midnight Central. Um, and that is preceded by Stupid O'Clock, which is 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central, where sometimes I pop into to either one of those shows or both shows, whatever. But on Saturday, Dan's show is midnight to 2 a.m. Central Time again, and then it is preceded by um, technically, Dan's show is Sunday morning if you're Central, but that is preceded by Stupid O'Clock at 10 p.m. Central to midnight. They're they're great things to sit there and pop into and listen to bunch of geeky friends just start talking about random and weird shit. Um, but And then he said he didn't want to write it, and I just piped up and said, I'll write it. And of course, Donna said, do it. Oh, Dan mentioned a story idea that he didn't want to write. So, um, but yeah, it's Last Man Standing, Stupid O'Clock, great shows um, on YouTube. Check them out. They are a blast. And again, Affiliate Webzine, free. It's a place that Dan has to go ahead and get talent out there and get people to get used to um, writing to submission guidelines so that we can go ahead and submit to paying markets later on. And then again, do better and better and better and better as things go on and time goes on. So, um, and hopefully eventually hit to the point where we're actually getting paid for um, doing our passion and writing a story. Um, but it's been one of those weekends. Um, been stuck in my own head, stuck in my own thoughts, and it's one of those weekends where, because of all of this going on, I'm at a point where I'm not allowed to lift anything more than 20 pounds, and even 20 pounds, they're giving me side eye until a lot of this stuff heals up, to make sure that it doesn't tear the muscles back away further and cause further damage back up in here. So about another week or so, I should be able to, um, have a little bit more range of movement and start lifting heavier things and allow myself to deal with a little bit more strenuous things. So, um, but, thinking a lot the past few weeks about Dad. Dad's birthday was the 19th, and, of course, Father's Day. So, you're always going to think about your dad, miss your dad on Father's Day. But Father's Day and Dad's birthday, we always celebrated Dad's birthday once on Father's Day, and then again wherever his birthday fell, because Dad's birthday being the 19th of June, very often it actually fell on Father's Day. So Dad kind of got two birthday celebrations. So he got an extra large Father's Day celebration. Um, and then, it's again, you got the secondary birthday, on his birthday, if it was not a year that they were both on the same day. So Father's Day just naturally always makes me think of Dad, and I miss my dad. I miss my dad a lot. We did not often see eye to eye. Sometimes I was very confident that I was not the son that he wanted, but luckily he did have the son that he wanted in my sister Brenda. Um, she was more of the let's go skiing, and the kind of things that Dad was really interested in, and uh, yeah, kind of worked out because I wasn't into those things. Um, if we're going out and hiking in the woods, I can do that with Dad. But I would just like to find a nice shady spot under a tree, pull out a book, and just sit there and read for a while. Where Dad was more action oriented, and Dad grew up in northern Wisconsin, so his life was hunting, fishing, stuff like that. Dad grew up in the 40s and 50s. Um, so it's a much different world between the world my father grew up in and the world I grew up in. Um, but really missing Dad, and um, my sister Brenda's probably going to kick my ass for this one, but it's Dad had a habit of on our birthdays he would call us and sing happy birthday to us. Something I've been kind of missing the past few years. The first year after Dad passed away, you know, uh, group of my best friends in the world, in my gaming group, knew I was really missing Dad, and gaming was actually on my birthday that year, and I didn't go because I was hurting. So they ended up calling me up and singing happy birthday to me at the world to me. So I figured I'm going to try to take up that mantle, at least for my sisters. I will try it for my nieces and nephews if I can remember their birthday. It's not that I can't remember their birthdays. It's I have a broken brain where I can remember whose birthday is on what day. I just don't remember that today is said day. Cannot tell you how many times that it was Mom's birthday, and I knew I needed to call Mom on her birthday, but it wasn't until the 12th time I wrote the date that day to go, oh shit, today's Mom's birthday. And then, call her as soon as I get a chance, or the same with Dad and stuff like that. It's a bad habit of mine. I'm, I'm not cognizant of the actual date until it's flashed by me several times, kind of a thing. But on my sister Brenda's birthday, I called her up, and as soon as she answered, I immediately started, doing the dad happy birthday singing thing, and she actually cried. Now, the reason why, is, my sister Brenda is one of the manliest people I know, and that's not trying to be derogatory or anything like that. It's she's what 5'3", 5'4", maybe. Um, and she will stand up to a trucker and put that boy in his place. It's what she's had to do because she's a dispatcher. That's her job. That's her profession is putting larger people in their place. So um, it's kind of humorous. Watching it, but yeah, it's I didn't expect to spark that kind of reaction. So, um, wow, I really am all over the place. Speaking of Brenda, when she was still living up in this area, and then I would go visit her for lunch or whatever at work. She loved it when I came in, because she'd look at her drivers and she'd be like, "Let me introduce you to my baby brother," and then she'd be standing right in front of me, and they're looking all over for someone smaller than Brenda. And then finally they lock eyes on usually at, my navel, and just started looking up and up and up. And it's like, huh? So yeah, that was always fun. The best was back when my mom was still working at the grocery store. So Ma was the manager of the grocery store. It's whenever the owners were out of town, keys were handed to Ma, and Ma took care of everything. But so she was in good with all the drivers and stuff like that. So if I was up visiting Mom at the store, um, and one of the drivers were in, she'd be like, "Let me introduce you to my baby." So of course they're looking for someone little. Ma was 5'1" and maybe 105 pounds, soaking wet with rocks in her pockets. At this point in time, Richie was between 450 and 500 pounds and 6'4" in height. So they'd lock onto my knees, and they'd just start, and it's like, huh? How the hell did that happen? Well, folks, I did not come out full size. I did not spring out fully formed like Athena. Otherwise my mom would have been like dead. Um, I was a baby at one point in time. I did grow. Um, and I miss mom too. Of my parents, I was a lot closer to my mom. My mom was the reader. Mom and I would talk about weird ass shit. My mom had an even worse temper than I do. Um, thank God, I I'm a little bit more tempered than she. Um, and right now, looking down from heaven, because I am a Christian, so I believe that she is up in heaven. Right now, I believe my mom is looking down from heaven, flipping me off like "fuck you, you little bitch." Um, it's just the person mom was. Um, she had a lot of attitude and a lot of spirit, and wasn't afraid to show it. Um, but we are at 38 minutes of just me rambling along. Um, so folks, remember that you are fucking awesome. People that do not see your worth are the ones who are unworthy of you. Um, Failure only happens when you stop trying. Lack of success is not failure. Failure is when you're finally like, fuck it, too far. Then you have finally failed. But if you are getting up and you are persevering and you are going at it time and time again, you are not failing. You're just finding ways that what you didn't succeed. Confidence is what will bring you to competence. The more comfortable you feel doing something, the better off you will be. Practice doesn't necessarily make perfect, but practice can breed that confidence that will bring you the competence to show the world you know what the hell you're doing. I wish everyone light, love, happiness, health, um, laughter, all the good stuff in life. Um, I know the date of this recording probably is not your birthday, but if you're catching this on your birthday, on a rewatch or whatever, Merry Birthmas, and I hope your day is filled with awesomeness and loved ones. And you know what? I wish every day, whether it's your birthday or not, to be filled with awesomeness and loved ones. But we all know that every day can't be that way because then you wouldn't have good days. They would just be days. So always remember there's two sides of a coin. There's the good days, there's the bad days. Without those bad days, you can't have good days. Otherwise, it just becomes days. And the worse those bad days are, the better, the brighter, the more sweet those good days are in comparison, and also when they return to you. Have an awesome whatever rest of the day is there for you. Whether you're watching this in the morning, afternoon, whatever, may the rest of your day be fucking awesome. Um, and take a light, people. I will see you soon, and hopefully it won't be as long for my next episode, and maybe I can start working on that remaking of a man thing, and maybe actually do that as a series. Take a light, folks. Be good. You're loved. You're worthy.